If you are looking for a complete like A to Z guide to tanning, including favorite face tanners, body tanners, how I make my tan last longer, my little tanning secrets, all of those things, then just keep on watching. Hi everyone, welcome to Jen the Realfluencer, where we talk about beauty, fashion, and lifestyle all at an affordable price point. I am really excited to bring you this video today. It's really gonna include everything, and honestly some stuff that I feel like I really don't hear a lot of people talk about. So I'm gonna kind of do it in like little categories, and we're gonna talk about all those things. And just right off the bat, let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite body tanner that you use, and do you tan all year round? I'm just really super curious to know. I feel like I am a professional tanner at this point, quite literally. I feel like I've tried every tanner under the sun. I've kind of sworn off the sun years ago. Pretty much fake tan most of the year at this point. So anyway, I am really excited to get into this video. So let's go. All right, so before we get into all like the tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff, why don't we start with the basics of what are my favorite body tanners, face tanner, instant type of tanner. I don't know if it's an obvious one or not. My favorite tanner by far is definitely Loving Tan. The reason I say maybe that's not a surprise is Loving Tan is very popular, but I would say rightfully so. Let me tell you why I like it. So for one, it certainly doesn't smell, I would say, the same way other tanners do. I'm not here to tell you that it doesn't smell at all, but it definitely is much more of a mild smell. The other reason why I like it is I describe it as truly being able to last a full week, and let me explain, without looking bad. What I think really sets Loving Tan apart from its competitors is when it fades, it truly fades off almost like a normal tan, where what I've noticed with a lot of its competitors, namely Sandra Pay, that formula really patches off of me, particularly in this area. What I really like about Loving Tan is the way that it fades. It's like, am I on day 7 as dark as I was on day 2? I'm not. So when I say it last week, I don't mean like you're as dark. So when it comes to body tanners, you know, I really wish I could honestly give you a second place runner-up. I probably haven't tried anything that I like even half as much as Loving Tan, so I just don't feel like it would be appropriate to do so. I'll kind of get into this in a little bit. I don't usually full-on tan over the winter. I do kind of tan all year round, but again, I'll get into it later. But if I was gonna tan in the winter, I generally am gonna use dark, and over the summer, I would use ultra dark. I probably would only recommend medium if you're pretty fair-skinned. You know, I know dark can sound scary, but unless you are fair-skinned, I would probably get dark. I would probably at least start with dark. That's my recommendation. All right, in terms of face tanners, I have really struggled with face tanners. I know a lot of us have. A lot of people struggle with face tanners for several reasons. Sometimes you quite literally have a reaction because, you know, putting something on your body is different than putting it on your face, non-comedogenic, all that kind of stuff. So there are often face tanners that are quite literally made to go on your face, but I know even some people have a problem with those. If you're somebody that exfoliates a lot, whether it's a physical exfoliation or a chemical exfoliation, the tan kind of tends to certainly not last as long. And I'm finding myself tanning about once a week, where I'm finding myself face tanning if I truly want to keep my face tans, probably at least 2 to 3 times a week. I found this brand called Tanologist. I noticed them at Ulta maybe about a year and a half ago. Been purchasing them ever since. I truly love mixing drops and their overnight tanning oil. Both of them are formulated for face. The tanning drops don't have to be used on the face. The oil is definitely made for the face. So these are like those drops you've seen from other brands, Isle of Paradise. These are absolutely the best that I have found. I notice it doesn't react with my skin in any way. Now, I don't have overly reactive skin, so take that for what it's worth. You can use a moisturizer that already works better for you. You could probably play around with using this during the day, but I always do tend to use it at night. I've always noticed when you go to use your hands with stuff like this, you have to be really careful, because even if it gets on the front of your finger ever so slightly, it will kind of collect in your nail bed or your cuticle, almost makes your fingers look dirty or something. And that's why I use these little helpers to apply it. So these little silicone things here allow you to spread it around without the need to use your fingers. I do the same thing with the oils. Let me talk about the oil quickly. So if you're not an oil person, you're not gonna like this. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm not an oil person, to be totally honest. I can do oil if it's not like oil, you know what I mean? Not only does your face have just such a healthy glow, I would argue that it has a better glow factor compared to the drops. I feel like the drops are probably more of like a tan factor, where the oil is more of like a glow factor that does darken your skin a little bit. Obviously the drops are more customizable. I generally use 3 drops, but if you wanted to get like crazy tan, you could certainly use way more than that. I would say the oil's not really gonna be able to give you that. Now I am a back sleeper, which allows the oil to really sink into my face. You know, if you're like a side pillow sleeper, it's truly not gonna work for you, and you probably already know oil doesn't work for you. I do like the way it smells. It's almost like you wake up with a J.Lo glow. So if you don't hate oil, I would encourage you to give this one a try. Truly, I don't use much, like 1 to 2 pumps out of the little dropper, and just spread it all over your face. So these are the type of tanners, like you're either trying to cover something, whether it be like veins in your leg, you're like, I need tan now, I can't wait for this thing to develop overnight, yada, yada, yada. Again, with the brand Tanologist, not joking. My chest is always lighter than the rest of my face. That sheer fact of mine kind of has taken me on an adventure over the years to look for really good body tanners. Doing my makeup, I can quite literally bring it down onto my chest. And I get that that sounds probably high maintenance for most people. By all means, I certainly don't do it every day. If you do deal with just general discoloring in your chest, maybe you have some sunspots there. So here's what's so great about this one. Number one, it smells good. It kind of smells perfumey. So if you are sensitive to smell, I would say that you're not gonna like that. But the reason why it's good that it smells perfumey is it doesn't smell like tanner. So that's almost, you know, it's like pick your battle, you know? Other ones, they are almost like foundation. Rarely fully dries down on its own. It's like you have to set it with powder if you're using a liquid foundation. That's how most of the other ones I found. You guys, I've tried them all, trust me. I can't tell you that it doesn't transfer at all, but it transfers the least that I have seen. Like, I will wear this thing all day. I just have a little bit on my shirt. It always comes out in the laundry. The biggest thing I love about this one is the fact that I don't have to set it. It's fully dried down. Now, the biggest drawback of this one, it comes in one color, and I think that's not great. If you put that on and it doesn't match the rest of your body, I mean, it's probably gonna look a little bit silly. So that's a huge downfall of this product, and I think something that they definitely need to work on. You can't offer tanner in just one color. Let me talk about 2 more products. So I also like the Sally Hansen. It's meant for your legs. That one, from like a color standpoint, just doesn't really work that well for me. So I feel like I can almost get away with it on my legs, but really not anywhere else. It looks kind of orange, but that one I feel like does also dry down. So I feel like they really kind of got it right with the formula as well. The last kind of instant tanner that I want to talk to you about, literally never heard anybody talk about it. It is a game-changing product, and let me tell you why. So it's actually a Clinique men's product, and this is not going to apply to everybody. So if it's not your jam, I totally get it. But sometimes I'm in a situation where I quite literally want to look like I have no makeup on, but I also want my face to match my body. Out at the beach or out at the pool, I'm not one of those people that wants to go there with some kind of full face of makeup on. I do know that there's people that do that, and that's totally fine. I'm just not one of those people. So I've tried so many different tinted moisturizers and tinted SPFs. I'd say probably tinted SPFs is gonna be the better option here. But I've always found it looks like I put makeup on, even if it's light makeup. I didn't love that for, you know, the look that I was going for. And I've always said this, I'm like, why can't they have a product that literally tints your skin? And by the way, I have tried the Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy, and I don't know, that one just didn't work for me. So this product is marketed to, I'd say, men that don't wear makeup. Now, obviously, there's a lot of men that do wear makeup, and that's, you know, that's great. You know, where they want a product that, you know, makes their skin a little bit darker, but literally looks like there's an untraceable amount of anything on their face. It has almost like a reddish undertone, because I think the whole idea is that if anything, it looks like you were out in the sun. I mean, you can see every freckle, you can see everything, but it literally does tint your skin without having any additional coverage. It is finicky. You do have to work quickly. If you've been the type of person looking for a product like that, game-changing product, and I've never heard anybody talk about it, ever. We made it about halfway through. Here we are. Please give this video a like if you found it helpful so far. I would really appreciate it. All right, Next, I have a few tips for you in terms of extending your tan, which has to do with prep and kind of maintenance to really do ensure that it lasts that full week. So first things first, I would say is the prep. Most people that do tan, you know to exfoliate and all that kind of stuff. I do have an exfoliating mitt that I particularly really like to use. I believe it's by Saint-Tropez. I do have a scrub that I use that is also by Saint-Tropez. Leave down in the comments though if you have a really good body exfoliator that's affordable, because this stuff I think is like $18 and there's gotta be something that works just as good. So if you know of something, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear. I really make sure that I scrub anywhere that you're gonna be tanning, because if you put in the prep work, it will pay off in the long run. When you get out of the shower after you've done the scrub, definitely do not apply any lotion or anything. I have found that to actually really help. I feel like if you almost have other oils, lotions, whatever you would put on when you normally get out of the shower, and you might be thinking, why are you showering right before you tan? I tend to basically shower at night, do all my scrubbing, do all that, then tan, and then go to bed, which I know that's like, ugh, why do you want to tan right after your shower? I get that. That might not work for everybody. And then this next step might sound kind of icky to most people, but it does really work for me. When I wake up, I actually don't take a shower. I mean, the good news is I did just shower, right? Like in terms of being clean as a human, but we all know what self-tanner feels like, smells like. When you get up and you've had that stuff on for so long, it's like all you really want to do is take a shower. And usually these bottles will say anywhere from 4 hours to maybe up to 10 hours is how long it takes to develop. And then you usually are free to shower. But like I said, my game-changing step is not showering. And here's the trick to that. So number one, I would say Loving Tan does not smell as bad as other ones. So I would say in general, it's not as gross. And Loving Tan does dry down very quickly, but I do still wake up and feel icky. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of that is what I notice is my clothing. If you try that and just change into clean clothes, the ickiness level goes down by probably 75%. If you're not totally grossed out by that, I would say try that trick. And then my last tip for extending the wear time on your tan is actually another product. It's by Bondi Sands and it's their gradual tanning milk. If I'm really trying to keep up my tan, I mean, sometimes you guys, I'm just lazy and I just don't kind of care. But if I am really trying to keep it up, I will probably use this every other night. And the reason why this is so good, it doesn't smell like tanner at all. And it has a tropical undertone scent to it. The other thing, it's white. So it feels like actual lotion. And what I mean by that is I've used basically what this type of product is, but it's so dark and brown. I've had it where they've recommended putting it on with a mitt. It stinks to high heaven like a tanner does. And I'm like, how is this literally any different than just putting on a foam tanner? So this one, it is hydrating, smells pretty good, and it's white, meaning you don't have to worry about the palms of your hands. It really works. Really helps kind of take the edge off of your tan fading. Sometimes I kind of get lazy with my tan in the winter. If I just use this every couple days, I usually maintain enough color in the wintertime just with that. So this product, I mean, it's no joke. It's not just pretending to be a wannabe tanner. It actually does work. And I would say even if you're fair-skinned or even light-skinned, you could even try this first. If you hate tanning, maybe get this product first and give that a shot. I will say if you use it too much, I then notice that quite a tan builds up and then I don't love the wear time of it, if that makes sense. It almost kind of does what I alluded to earlier with the Saint-Tropez. It starts patching off all weird. So I almost like to use it where I'm not necessarily using it to full on build up an actual tan that wasn't there, but I'm more using it as an extender or just a very light color. Next, let's talk about little tanning helpers, I think is what I'm gonna categorize this section as. Probably something that I do that I've really never heard anybody talk about, not that it's revolutionary or anything. We all know the feeling, I just tanned, I feel disgusting, the last thing I wanna do is put clothes on, I feel sticky, I'm gonna stain whatever I put on, I'm gonna stain my sheets. I mean, we all know the dilemma, right? I bought a onesie. What's nice about it is it's my dedicated tanning onesie, so I don't care if it gets icky. If it does get icky, it is black. It really does help protect my sheets. And honestly, it's just nice to get into something like that because I think I bought it in like maybe a size or even 2 sizes too big, because I wanted it to just be like big and baggy and all of that. It's so nice when you feel icky and sticky to be able to throw something like that on that just kind of barely touches you but fully covers you. And if you don't want to like buy a dedicated, I totally get that, but have maybe dedicated tanning clothes. I think that really does certainly help. The next thing is something that I did allude to earlier. We talked a little bit about it, and it's those silicone sponges. So they are such a great helper to put on that face tanner that I talked about earlier without getting your fingers stained. If you're looking for other uses for them, I mean, they're also good to like apply serums, anything like that. And then the other two things are kind of just things I have in my tanning arsenal, if you will. They're not something I necessarily use every single time. And that is like rubber gloves. I actually, as I just talked about with the whole finger thing, before I discovered the silicone sponges, I actually used to use rubber gloves because again, it would get all up in my cuticles. So if you don't like the silicone sponge thing, maybe try some rubber gloves. If you don't like tanning mitts, you could also use the rubber gloves to apply your actual foam tanner. The other thing is a brush. I think I got suckered into some actual brush that was meant for tanning. It doesn't matter. I'm sure you could use a foundation brush, but it does help to get your fingers better and to get, you know, like in between these areas. Speaking of brushes, I do really like big body brushes to put on the chest tanner or even like the Sally Hansen leg tanner. There's one that I'm actually really loving right now that's from Makeup Revolution. It's very affordable. It's from Ulta. Next, let's talk about just general application tips. Don't put your tanner everywhere. I mean, tanner is expensive. It's inexpensive compared to like if you've ever gotten unlimited spray tans per month. In general, I mean, you can run through a tanning bottle fairly quickly. I can tell you right now, I almost never tan my stomach unless, again, it's kind of getting into summer, as I think you get what I'm saying. Now, you know, obviously I'm married. I don't really care if he thinks my body looks weird, all different colors, you know, so everyone's gonna be a different scenario there. I totally understand, but it is certainly a way to save money. This is not really something I've really heard people talk about. Maybe I'm wrong, please tell me if I am. You know how you apply the tanner with a mitt and all that kind of stuff. I've noticed that certain areas of your body, you're doing that and it's either like making the tanner almost like disappear or really clump in that area, but I actually pat it. I just full on go in, do the normal swirl, like get the coverage down, and then I almost just like go like this. And I'll tell you, that makes all the difference. If you have a clumping in a certain area and you pat it, it will pat it out. I would liken it to apply your foundation with a brush, but then you almost notice those little swirl lines all over your face from the brush, but then you take like a damp sponge and tap it. This is going to do that for you, for your body. It's been a total game changer for me, but I wouldn't recommend like squeezing it onto your skin and start patting right away. I would get it where it needs to go and pat it as a final step. One big thing that I often see with people is getting in between their fingers and their toes. This is where the brush could really help you, especially if you don't feel as comfortable with the mitt. And even knuckles can be hard. I mean, you can see, like, I could have done a better job. The knuckles are challenging because if you just go right in there and almost put too much tanner, when you then straighten your knuckle out, it looks kind of dark. So there's a fine line there. And last, I just have a few random miscellaneous tips that kind of didn't fit into any other category. This might be obvious to some of you, and I apologize if it is, but it definitely wasn't obvious to me at first. Those tanning mitts, they're washable. If you wash them every single time, mine usually wash clean. I've noticed the ones that haven't washed clean, I think are if I get lazy and don't wash it every time, it kind of really does settle in there. I usually wash them like with towels or whatever. I want to talk about tanning erasers or tanning fixers. So sometimes you need to remove a tan. You know, you tried a tanner, it went kind of ick. Got to get this thing off me. Let's apply one that's going to work better. And there is a tanning remover by Bondi Sands. It is probably the only one that I found that actually works. It's not a super fun process. I will mention that part of it. You really have to apply this stuff and let it sit for at least 5 minutes. So you think about it, like you're there, you're kind of naked, you got to put it on your whole body and it's got to really like sit there on your skin. So, I mean, I found myself doing it in the shower. If you wait those 5 minutes and then go to rub it off, it really does come off. And then the other kind of tanning eraser things that I'm talking about are more like fixers. Like, you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, why is there a big mark on my wrist? Like I had a collection of tan there and now it looks bad. There's a lot of little exfoliating wipe type of things that they sell for this, because we all know, I mean, sometimes with that tanning, like once it develops, if it's the morning after and it's fresh, I mean, you're gonna rub your skin. We're all trying to get stuff like that off sometimes. So it's good to have little stuff like this in your repertoire. All right, and that's gonna do it. So please let me know in the comments, did you learn anything? If you did, I'd be super curious to know, you know, is this all stuff that you already knew? That kind of actually would really help me. So let me know down in the comments. And please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. It's free. I always say it's free and you can always dump me later. You don't even have to text me. And please do give this video a like if you did find it helpful. That helps me out a ton. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. See ya.